We're actually going to have a wine that I love. Good play on words, dad joke. Love symbol. This is McLaren Vale Grenache. When I first moved to Australia in the 90s, I just fell in love with our Grenache that we have growing here. And back in the days, Grenache was an evil word. People of an older generation than I thought that Grenache was grown and used for making fortified wines. It was not something that was proudly put on the front label of a bottle. And thankfully, with times, the drinking habits have changed. People have become more educated. Winemakers are doing different styles. You know, Grenache was always blended away. It was put in with Shiraz. You know, there was a commercial GSM, which is the same blend that pays homage to wines that come out of the Rhone Valley. Those are the three component major grape varieties that go into Côte du Rhône or Châteauneuf du Pape. So, you know, that was our take back in those days. For me, Grenache is like warm climate Pinot Noir. I look at it more like how it's made in Spain. You know, Spain has a climate structure that's very similar to Australia, South Australia. It's very warm, it's arid, it's dry. And when it's hot out, when it's 40 degrees, you don't want to drink big, heady red wines. You want these lighter, fresher, brighter styles. And that's, I guess, the way, you know, after doing some vintages in Spain and looking at their winemaking methodologies and things like that, this is my take on what Grenache should be like from McLaren Vale. So to me, it's thinking more like, it's kind of hard. If you don't drink wine, comparing one wine to another wine is kind of stupid. So think more light-bodied, think more acid structure, not about tannins. We want this to be crunchy and fresh and bright, not big and heavy and weighty. I don't want the tannins to grip too much. I want it to be more gentle and forgiving. And it's also a wine. Under our Mediterranean range, we do Grenache and we also do a Malbec. And I handle them both fairly similarly in their winemaking methodologies. And that's because I want bright acid structure, perfume, and fresh expression in these wines. And both of them you can chill down. Serve them slightly chilled. I like things cold. I'm Canadian. You know, I grew up in an ice box. That's the way it is. But these wines are in that lighter style. Take a look. You know, it's not heavy or dense. It's very pretty. We already make big, lush, vibrant, juicy, you know, Black Forest Cake Shiraz in McLaren Vale. We make juicy, you know, regal Cabernet. What I want to do is make sure that every wine that we produce has that individual expression. So grab the glass, give it a bit of a swirl, let it open up, stretch its legs. And when you smell it, there's just this lovely, enticing sort of, almost like a candied cherries. There's red plums, floral loads, you know, almost black tea. If you ever had cold soaked black tea, it's all those sort of triggers in there. And you smell it and you just go, wow, I want to put that in my mouth and drink it. You know, it's inviting and enticing. To me, there's almost a supple sweetness to it. You know, you get these tart cherries, but there's this lovely, juicy, soft plum characteristic that comes through. Definitely red fruits more than those black fruit characteristics. A bit of licorice coming on the backbone, which I really love. Perfect. This wine just screams. For me, I love this on a warm summer's day where I slow cook pork belly with Asian hoisin sauce and 5 spice and cinnamon, a little bit of sticky rice. And this is just, it's a perfect match made in heaven. And that's one of the things, you know, every single one of the wines that we make has a unique personality and style, and we want it to have its individuality and sing through in the glass. And it should do that. It's not trying to have everything look the same. I started off talking about how Grenache was always a blend. We came up with Love Symbol. If you're not familiar with Love Symbol, if you're too young to remember the musician Prince and the Machine, Prince wanted to break away from his record contract, so he'd become a solo artist. And to do that, he fought and fought and fought. And then one day he had the clever trick. He just changed his name from Prince to the Love Symbol. Therefore, he was no longer contracted. So he was a solo artist. And that's what this pays homage to, is, you know, Grenache becoming center stage again. Single variety telling its own story rather than having to be partnered up with someone else. We hearken back to actually what we grow in the vineyard. And to me, that's the big story, because one of my mantras that I was always taught by one of the people that I learned from, that was one of my doyens, was the only thing that I have difference to anybody else in this business is the patch of dirt and the grapes that are growing on it. That relationship between the soil, the grape variety, and its position amongst the actual sense of place is the only thing I have that's unique to anybody else. You know, my neighbor is 3 feet over that way. His will have a different story. And if I actually focus on that as a winemaker and make sure that I can portray that in the bottle so that you can feel, taste, and see what I do when I'm walking amongst those wines, that's when I succeed. To me, I'm a facilitator. I'm there to actually tell the story of the fruit, the ground, and the process that Mother Nature has through the actual thing. It's the consistency of what we put in the bottle. And for me, that label really just tells that story of freedom and sort of, self-expression. We can go down more rabbit holes than I care to actually even think of. Grenache in McLaren Vale grows all over the region, but there are special little spots. Blewett Springs is a small sub-region of McLaren Vale. Now, don't get me wrong, most people don't even know where McLaren Vale is in the global picture of wine, so let's focus on that. But in Blewett Springs, where these grapes come from, it's a little hot pocket, sort of buried. It's a valley within a valley with lots of deep soil. And a lot of these Grenache wines were planted pre-trellising, so they're all bush vine, which is a very traditional way that they grow Grenache in central Spain, where I worked in Zaragoza. So for me, it's that paying homage to my experience, again, doing some vintages in Spain, making that lighter, brighter, food-friendly style. Tapas all the way. Little pinchos here and there. Pork belly, because in Spain, what's your favorite food? It's pork. To me, it's a perfect match made in heaven. So I hope you enjoy it. Cheers. Salute.